Now let's go ahead and create a table to place these items. So in order to create a table, let's hop back to VS Code, and in here, if you take a look at the Bootstrap container and the Bootstrap row which we have here, so this row actually ends here, which is right over here, and the container ends here. So within this container, now we can actually create another row. So I will create another row here. So I will say div class equals row. Let's end this div here. And now inside this particular div, we actually want to go ahead and create a table which only spans 60% of the left hand side. So we want to display the table in this portion right over here. And as Bootstrap columns actually span 12 columns, we only want this to span 6 columns. So let's go ahead and create a column here. So I will say div class equals, let's say call-md-6. So this spans 6 columns. And in here, first of all, let's go ahead and add a simple heading. So I will create another div here. So div, and in here I will add a heading which will say something like today's consumption. So let's use the h4 tag and say something like today's consumption. So now if I go back and hit refresh, as you can see, there's the heading right there. So now once we have this particular heading inside this div, let's actually go ahead and create a table using the table tag. So I will say table, and in here let's go ahead and add a class to this. So I will say table class is equal to table, and that's going to be table dash striped. So table striped is actually a special class in Bootstrap which will create a striped table for us. And also if you want to assign a color to this particular table, you say table dash primary, which will actually assign a bluish kind of color to your table. Now to this specific table, we are also going to add something which is called as an ID, and the ID for this table is going to be table itself. Now the reason why we are adding this ID over here is to actually go ahead and calculate the total carbohydrates, proteins and fats out of this table. So you will understand the significance of this ID when we go ahead and implement that part. So as of now, you can ignore that. However, make sure that you add that ID up over there. Okay, so now once you have the table, the first thing which you need to do is that you need to have a big row on the top which would actually display the different column names. So you have the food item column which will display the food name. Then you have the carbohydrates, proteins, fats and calories. So currently if you take a look at our table, there's absolutely nothing here. So let's add the rows over here. So I will say tr, and to this particular table row, let's go ahead and add some headers. So I will say th for headers, and the first header is going to be food item. So if I save that, as you can see, food item is added up over here. Now along with that, we also want a couple of other headers as well, which is carbs, proteins and fats. So I will make sure to add them up over here. So I will go ahead and replace them one by one. So this is going to be carbs, and as this is actually in grams, I will add GM in the brackets. So now let's do protein. This is also in grams, so I will type in GM. Let's do fats, also in grams, and the final item is calories. So calories is in 1000 calories or kcal, so I will add kcal up over here. Okay, so once we have these, let's actually take a look at our table. So the table looks absolutely fine. Now once we have this particular table row, now we need to create rows for actual data. So here I will create another table row, and in here what we want to do is that we want to actually go ahead and display the columns for the food consumed, the carbohydrates, the proteins and the fat contents. So inside this, now we actually want to loop through all the food items. So in order to loop through items, we are going to make use of this for loop. So I will simply go ahead and inside this table row, I will paste the for statement here, and I will also copy this end for as well. So this end for should be over here. So this is what it looks like. So you have the for, and then this for will actually have these table rows. So this will actually create multiple table rows, and in each table row we want to display the statistics for each item. So now in order to add each item, I'll say TD, and in this particular TD tag it will first display the names of all the foods. So in here, to get the names of the foods, we got the names of the foods using this, so I will simply copy that, paste it up over here. So now if I save this and if I go back over here, hit refresh, it will actually display all the names of the food items. Now I can go ahead and add a couple more TD tags here to display the other statistics. So I will simply copy this, paste it multiple number of times. So the second statistic which we want to display are the carbs. So I will select that, paste it up over here, paste it up over here. Then we have protein. So I'll replace this with protein. This is going to be for fats. So fats, and this one is going to be for calories. So I will say calories. Now if I go back and hit refresh, and I guess we forgot to spell protein. So I always get confused with the spelling of protein. So let me just fix that. I'm not sure if this is the correct spelling or the previous one was. However, this should actually work irrespective of that. Okay, so as you can see, we have our table right here, and we also have all the other quantities as well. So one more thing which you could do here is that to this particular table header, which actually displays these, you can actually add a class. So I will say class is going to be equal to bg-primary. So it will actually give it a primary color or a background as the primary color. So if I save this and hit refresh, as you can see, it will give it a bluish kind of color. And then I will also say text-white. So that will actually make this text to white. So as you can see, it looks a lot better. And one more thing which you need to do here is that if you take a look at this div class over here, so this is actually a column which spans 6 columns. So this will actually end here. So you also need to go ahead and create another div here to span the other 6 columns. So I will say div class equals to call-md-5, and I will leave an offset of 1. So this will actually create another div, and if I hit refresh, as you can see, you won't be able to see that up over here. However, when we design this part, you will be able to notice the difference here. So now what you can do is that you can actually get rid of this code from here, so that your design looks much cleaner. So as you can see, this looks a lot better as compared to the previous one. So that's it for this lecture, and in the next lecture what we will do is that we will learn how to calculate the total number of carbs, proteins, fats and calories consumed by the user in a specific day, and we are going to display that up over here at the bottom. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.